Hi, I'm Kitty Hawk. In 2023, I hiked the Continental Divide Trail, or CDT, and this video is about the clothing that I wore, what I liked, what I didn't like, what I changed, and when and why I changed it. So here we go. The shirt that I wore was the Jolly Gear shirt. I really liked it because of the button-down feature. I could open up and cool off much more easily. Sun protection on my arms, and if I wanted to wear the hood, I wore this shirt on the PCT the entire trail and loved it. So I wore it again on the Continental Divide Trail, but by this time it was pretty worn out. I had also used it on part of the Florida Trail, so it already had about 3,000 miles almost when I started on the CDT. At one point on the Florida Trail, I had done a large tear in the arm, sewed it back together. My pack and fanny pack buckle constantly rubbed against the shirt and eventually just shredded the back of the shirt. I stopped using it after I finished New Mexico and switched to a wool t-shirt. It was blue, but it was just like this, and it had the same logo. Just because it's a bad idea doesn't mean it won't be a good time. I kind of live by that now. Underwear, I had these Sacs underwear. Comfortable, nylon, nothing special. They work just fine. Socks, I wore Injinji toe socks, and over that, darn tough wool socks. For pants, I usually wear shorts when I hike. Ease of movement, cooler, but I decided to wear long pants. I used convertible pants so that I could go short. This particular brand is Northbound Gear. The reason I chose them, their advertisement said that their pants were highly water resistant. Their ad, they show slicing it with a knife and it doesn't cut through. And I thought, well, that might be good in the desert of New Mexico because there's a lot of briars and cactus and stuff. And indeed, initially these pants are highly water resistant. Water just beads and rolls off. But as you wash them, after a while they lose that. The reason that I really went with this is because on the Pacific Crest Trail in the desert, Southern California, blisters for the entire section. I mean, almost 700 miles. So what I decided to do this time around was switch to Ultra Olympus mid-height Gore-Tex shoes. If they were waterproof, then they would also be dust-proof. On the regular mesh shoe, the fine sand in the desert would actually go through the mesh, whether I wore gaiters or not. It didn't matter. So much sand and dirt was getting into the shoe that I was essentially walking on sandpaper. So by going with the Gore-Tex shoes, I was hoping that would prevent sand from going in the shoe. If water can't get in, certainly sand can't get in. And then having the long pants over a high boot would keep the sand out. And it did work perfectly. I got 0 blisters. In fact, I had almost no sand or dirt whatsoever getting into my shoes, my socks, my feet. Every night, my feet were clean. Amazingly clean. So it did work fantastically. Would I do that again in a desert scenario? Absolutely. Also, I was surprised. I never thought that high boots or even mid boots would provide significant ankle protection, but I am prone to twist my ankles dozens of times on the Appalachian Trail, dozens of times on the Pacific Crest Trail, very few times on the Continental Divide Trail wearing the mid-height shoe. So apparently it does make a difference. It does provide ankle support. Sun protection. I chose to take this Arctic hat. Got it on Amazon for about $18. Wide brim. These things are made like out of Reflectix. Supposedly cools like 10 degrees more than a regular hat. Also vented. Did it work? Yes, it did work. Kept the sun mostly off my face. Most importantly, I'm fairly bald, so it kept the sun off of the top of my head. Didn't fry my egg, so to speak. I like the hat. It's fairly light, fairly foldable. When I wanted to put it away, I think it was a good deal. However, it's a hat, so anything that I put on my head makes my head hotter. So my preference is always to use a sun umbrella, because the sun umbrella not only protects my head, but it protects my entire upper body, my arms, my chest, the back of my neck. Now, that's not to say that I wasn't ever sweating, so I would also use a headband. So this was my normal go-to. But if it was extremely windy, then an umbrella is not practical, and then I would use the hat. It worked well for me. Headbands, I lost them constantly. Zebra striped one, I had a green one, I had a navy blue one, finished with this gray one. I kept losing them. In fact, I kept losing lots of things. I lost several pairs of sunglasses. I lost my titanium spoon. I lost my bear spray canister. And I lost a water bottle. I'm getting a little clumsy on trail. But anyway, back to clothes. I'll have to say that in New Mexico, in the Gila River alternate, which is beautiful, gorgeous. However, you cross the river like 150 times. Yeah, it's crazy. Obviously, my shoes got soaked, and I wished that I had like a pair of Crocs or something to go through, though I hate carrying camp shoes, Crocs, water shoes, whatever. It's just one more thing. My ultralight headspace says don't do it, but that would be a really great time to have a pair of Crocs or some kind of sandals that stay on your feet. There were times in the Gila River where, I mean, it got sometimes up to waist, crotch deep. Most of the time not, shin up to knees. But nevertheless, the shoes got soaked, and Gore-Tex shoes aren't going to dry out as quickly as mesh shoes, so I had to deal with that. All right, when I got to Cuba, which is about 618 miles in, I needed another pair of shoes. The Ultras, they were getting on the thin side, and I like to take care of the feet. Most important piece of gear is your shoes. I like to change them out every 500, 600, 700 miles at the most. And so I had a chance to go to Albuquerque with Trail Angel Woody. Went to the REI there and got my second pair of Ultras. I also bought a pair of gloves because I knew that I would soon be in Colorado and in the snow. I wanted as much protection as possible. I also picked up a pair of rain pants, REI rain pants. And the reason that I did this was because we were starting to get rain, and before I even got to Chama, New Mexico, and I knew that there would be a lot of cold in Colorado, and having this pair of thick snow rain pants that were easy to zip on over my clothes would help keep me warmer. I liked them for the warmth that they provided and the rain protection that they provided. I did not like them because, well, they made me hot and sweaty. And so I would take them off as quickly as possible. It became annoying. They were something that went into my bounce box for majority of the trip. Bounce box. I started a bounce box in Lordsburg, New Mexico. That's the first town in New Mexico. And it was a great idea because it allowed me to send forward pieces of gear that I didn't anticipate needing or didn't need. Also, it allowed me to send forward sometimes food to places where I wasn't sure about the resupply. The bounce box I used was the Priority Mail box number 7. That is not the flat rate box. It's actually 2 inches taller than the flat rate box. Instead of 6 inches tall, it's 8 inches tall. Holds more stuff, and is cheaper. The flat rate box is now like $24 no matter where you send it to. The box number 7 is done by distance and weight. And so every time I sent a box full of stuff, I was only sending it a few towns up. The fee would be anywhere from $12 to $16. So cheaper and holds more stuff. Some post offices don't have it out front, but if you ask, they'll go get one for you. What did I put in the box initially? A pair of Walmart leggings or long johns, tights, whatever you want to call them. The pair that I sent was a pair that were black, but in case the nights were cool and I wanted a little warmth, I had a pair of sleep socks, long wool socks. I also kept in that bounce box my Outdoor Vital puffy, 10-ounce puffy. Works great, like the puffy, it's fine on the Appalachian Trail, it's fine on the Pacific Crest Trail. I used it a few times on the Continental Divide Trail, and it worked great. However, most of the time, I thought, do I need to carry 10 ounces? If I just have a base layer, maybe a fleece, and then my rain jacket, is that enough? In case not, I bought the Montbell Plasma 1000 vest, puffy vest. This only weighs 3 ounces, like 3.4 ounces. So ridiculously compactable, ridiculously light, kept me warm. When I would wake up in the morning and it was chilly, I would put on the vest, and that would basically keep me warm, that plus a fleece or a rain jacket over it. Because the vest is sleeveless, I didn't get as hot as quickly, so I didn't have to stop so soon to peel off layers. I could hike farther and be comfortable, and it's lighter. So I really, really like it as an alternative to a full-blown puffy. On trail, I did carry my Z-Packs Virtus rain jacket, 5.5 ounces, pit zips. Does it keep you dry? It's okay for a while. Do you sweat in it? Yes, of course. Not as bad as some other jackets. The pit zips help. Of course, I was using my umbrella most of the time anyway. When I'm using the umbrella, unless it's a really heavy rain, driving wind or something, I really don't need the rain jacket at all. What I really missed having, I should have brought, was my rain skirt or kilt. For some reason, I thought that with the water-resistant long pants and the umbrella, that would be good enough. Every time it rained, I wished I had brought the kilt. If it rained really hard, whether I was wearing the long pants or the short pants, they would get soaked. Then my underwear underneath would get soaked. My fanny pack would get wet. The kilt or rain skirt would have helped tremendously. So next time I will always take it, whether I think I'm going to need it or not. It's only 3 ounces. Take it. All right, so in my pack, an extra pair of toe socks, an extra pair of wool socks, my Enlightened Equipment Copperfield wind pants. These provide additional warmth, a little bit of water resistance. They dry out immediately. They only weigh an ounce. Ridiculously small. Wonderful. I'll always take them. And I kept them in this nylon day pack that I bought on Amazon for about 15 bucks. Reason I like having this, not only does it hold my clothes, my spare stuff, my puffy, my fleece, whatever that I carry. Also, if I have the opportunity to do slack packing, well, here I go. I've got a slack pack. I put my water bottle, some snacks, rain jacket, carry with me, makes slack packing convenient. Also, with clothes in there, I can use it as a pillow. When I got to Chama, which is the last town in New Mexico before going into Colorado, I had the opportunity to buy a fleece. I did not own a fleece and did not think that was important enough for me to buy beforehand in the desert. Would have been convenient. I have never used a fleece on the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail or any other trails that I've hiked. And in Chama at Tumble On Outfitters, I bought their microgrid fleece, which is basically a copy of a Melanzana, except it does not have the kangaroo pocket for your hands. I wish that it did have a kangaroo pocket. There was a lot of mornings where I'd wear this, or even during the day, and it's cool, and I wished I could put my hands into the pocket. Doesn't have a pocket, so that was one shortcoming. But in general, I love this fleece. It keeps me warm, but not too warm. Has the hoodie, the hood. I think they're great. I don't know why I didn't know to buy a fleece before. I'll probably always take a fleece with me when I go hiking. So in Chama, I bought that. I also bought microspikes there for the snow in Colorado. Definitely needed them. I did not buy an ice axe. I wish that I had. There were a couple of times where I was on a mountainside there was no trail. It was just a slope of ice, and I had to make my way across and could have easily fallen. There were a few times where if I had fallen, I would have gone hundreds of feet and certainly injured myself severely, if not killed myself. I was scared to death. Of death a couple of times. I really wish I had had an ice axe. Moving on, I am wearing my long pants. I have my wind pants. I have my rain snow pants that I got at REI. I have my fleece, leggings, pretty much everything, anticipating that it was going to be snowy and cold. And it was snowy and cold. So I was glad that I had everything. In fact, there's times where I was wearing everything and I was still cold at night, or certainly early morning. I had a 20-degree sleeping bag and slept with all my clothes on. Included in my, we'll call it clothing because I wore it, I had a Walmart fanny pack that my trail family bought for me on the Pacific Crest Trail. I mean, this thing was $6. And I had lost my previous fanny pack, so I asked one of them when they got into town to hit up a Walmart and get me a fanny pack. So they got this $6 fanny pack, got a large pocket and a smaller pocket. It works great. But I like to put as much stuff that I would be getting out of my pack into my fanny pack as I can. So sunscreen, lip balm, headlamp, snacks, my charger, charging cables, whatever I can that I don't have to stop and take out of my pack. Well, the more stuff I carried, the harder it got to dig through the snacks and the different this and that to get to what I wanted. So the more pockets I have, the better. So I sewed on this pouch that a pack towel came in. So now I had 3 pockets. And then I sewed on a Z-Packs water bottle on the side. So I could carry one of my water bottles, which would take 2 pounds off of my back. On the other side, I sewed on a Z-Packs side pouch. And I could put anything in here that I wanted, whether it was a bug net, my puffy vest, gloves, whatever, pretty much everything that I needed. I was actually carrying like 5 pounds in my fanny pack on my waist. So that's 5 pounds that's off of my back. And I have a broken shoulder blade from an accident when I was young that sometimes really gives me pain issues. So taking some weight off my back is always a good thing. When I got to Grand Lake, Colorado, there was an outfitter. They had this Osprey fanny pack. And this Osprey has a side pocket here, a side pocket here, a pocket here, a pocket here, 2 places for water bottles so I could carry both water bottles, 6 to 8 pounds of stuff on this fanny pack. And I thought, gee, that's great. It was expensive, but it would make my hike even more efficient and take more weight off my back. Yes, it did, but there is a problem. It's stiff, and it covers a large area, basically from my crotch up to, to my belly button or higher, which was kind of aggravating the way that it rubbed against me. It made it difficult to bend over. It was just uncomfortable. I ended up using it till I finished the trail, but looking back, I wish I had stayed with I called this a Franken pack because of all the crazy sewing mods that I did to it. I wish I had stayed with the Franken pack. When I got to Steamboat Springs, Colorado, which was basically the last town in Colorado, I bought my 3rd pair of Ultra Olympus Gore-Tex. I also bought a new wool t-shirt because the first one had gotten pretty worn out. When I was wearing the Jolly shirt, I would use the t-shirt as a sleep shirt. And then when I stopped using the Jolly shirt, when I got to Colorado, the wool t-shirt was my basic hiking layer during the day, and rubbing the pack against it wore that out. So I got a second wool t-shirt that made it through the rest of the trip. When I got to Rawlins, Wyoming, which is the first major town in Wyoming, there's a Walmart there. I saw these, I don't even remember how much they were, $9, $8, $6, and a lot more colorful than just solid gray. To go with my solid gray t-shirt, I was saying, it's too much. I need some color. So I picked these up, and I also picked up somewhere around that time, I'm not sure, I think in Rawlins, a pair of $5 sandals. I didn't want to keep getting my Olympus shoes soaked, so I decided to start switching out into the sandals. And that worked pretty well, actually. Even though I don't like carrying an extra pair of camp shoes or whatever, I did, and it ended up being a good thing to do. All right, so I made it through Wyoming, got through the Idaho-Montana section, and made it to Anaconda, Montana. At that point, I got my 4th pair of shoes. I decided to mail order it from Amazon, and I decided to go with Topos. I had, often heard about Topos as an alternate to Ultra, also having the wide toe box. They do have a little bit of a lift in the heel, but I thought maybe that would be good for me because sometimes I have Achilles tendon irritation while hiking. And even though I wear Ultras all the time, they're my daily wear at home. I'm very used to 0 drop. I thought, on trail, maybe that occasional Achilles tenderness that I get might be alleviated by having a slight lift on the heel. And that's what Topo has. And my hiking partner, Carmen Sandiego, she wears Topos. Met a lot of other hikers wearing Topos. I decided to give it a shot. So I mail ordered the Topo Trail Venture mid shoe. I really wanted the waterproof version. They have it. I ordered accidentally the non-waterproof version. But as far as the feel of the shoe, the amount of cushion, the support, the comfort, basically the same as the Ultra Olympus. I was very happy with it. It lasted through the end of the trail, and that is the pair I was wearing, so I still have them. They still have tread on them. I was happy with that. When I got to Lincoln, Montana, I had decided to try using a poncho. It was raining pretty regularly, starting from the basin in Wyoming all the way through Glacier. I got rained on many times. At one time while I was resupplying in some small grocery slash Ace hardware store, they were combined, and I walked into the hardware section and I saw one of these little mini poncho, like $1.99 kind of things. It wasn't this one, it was actually orange, but it was same thing. And I decided to buy it, try it out. They actually worked very well in keeping me dry. Kind of difficult to get into when I'm wearing my pack. I can do it, but it was kind of tough to get it pulled down in the back. Definitely helped to have my partners, either Carmen or Peacefoot, to pull it into place for me, but it did keep me drier. So I was happy using, this very cheap rain protection. Worked in places where the umbrella wouldn't work. When I got to High Divide Outfitter, which is close to Lincoln, right off of the trail, the best outfitter probably in the entire country. Absolutely has every possible thing that you could need as a hiker, and has multiple name brand, cottage brand gear, whether it's packs, tents, shoes, jackets, anything. That he has stuff that you cannot get in almost anywhere. I mean, you can mail order it, but you don't know what you're getting until you get it, and then you say, He has it there. You can try it out there. You can compare. I changed my pack there, so I've been using Z packs, but I got to try out Hyperlight gear there. I got to try out ULA gear. I got to try out Light AF gear. Compare them, wear one, switch to the other, walk around, really test it out before I bought. High Divide Outfitters, you got to go there when you're on the CDT. I enjoy my wind pants so much that I decided to get a wind jacket as well. So I got the Montbell wind jacket, and again, it weighs almost nothing. It packs up to a tiny little ball. It weighs like 1.5 ounces or something. It's just ridiculously light. It does make a difference. It does keep you warmer. It does keep you drier. It definitely is something great to have. The last piece of gear that I ended up using was actually a rain skirt, a kilt. I did not find this until I got to East Glacier, and in the hiker box was a homemade quilt. It was kind of thick, kind of heavy. It worked very well. I went back to East Glacier after my hike was through, and I put it back into the hiker box for the next person to come along. So there you have it. The gear that I wore, when I changed it, why I changed it. Every piece of gear that I've mentioned on here was useful at some point or another. If I had to say what made the biggest difference compared to other hikes, the long pants and the Gore-Tex Ultras, totally game changer for blisters in the desert. Umbrella, always, I'll always take an umbrella. Great for rain protection, great for sun protection, and keeps you cooler, no doubt about it. Wind pants and wind jacket, always good. The fleece, loved it. I don't know why I didn't hike with it before. I have since bought a Senshi Polar Tech. I bought the Alpha 120, which is only 7.2 ounces versus my microgrid fleece is over 12 ounces. So 5 ounces cheaper. It has the kangaroo pocket to keep my hands warmer. It also has a half zip, so I can unzip it to cool off better. They make Alpha 60, which does not have the zip and it does not have the pocket. It only weighs 3 ounces. So you could have a fleece that weighs 3 ounces. Crazy light. But I wanted the pocket. I like the half zip. So I went with the extra weight, but it still weighs 5 ounces less than my microgrid fleece. Well, I hope this helps you if you're going to hike the CDT. I hope it's useful for any other hike that you go on. I'll be having another video with my actual gear, my pack, my tent, sleeping gear, what I did food-wise, cooking-wise, all of that. So coming up soon. Bye.